Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collins Guitars and Mandolins, each and every one built from the sound up in Austin, Texas. Hi, this is Matt, and you listen to Bluegrass Jam Along, the podcast for anyone and everyone who loves bluegrass. Hey everybody, welcome back to Bluegrass Jam Along. This is your Bluegrass Briefing for January 2026. Happy New Year to all of you. Got lots of good stuff going up on the podcast this year. I've got some interviews I'm in the process of setting up. I've got a couple ready to record. I will let you know more about what's coming this year as we go. There's lots of cool stuff on the way. But if you missed it, what I did at the end of last year was to do a little recap of the first 500 episodes of Bluegrass Jam Along, because we hit that milestone just at the end of the year. And I put together just something celebrating some of the interviews I've done, excerpts from some of the things that have happened over the past few years, and I think you will really enjoy that. It includes extracts from interviews with Alison Krauss, Wyatt Rice, Bryan Sutton, Gabe Witcher, Brittany Haas, Chris Eldridge, Sarah Jarosz, Sarah Watkins and Mike Marshall. And we're chatting about all sorts of things. Wyatt's chatting about recording Church Street Blues with Tony. Gabe and Brittany are both talking about Punch Brothers. Sarah Jarosz talking about Blue Heron Suite. Sarah Watkins talking about the last I'm With Her album. Lots of stuff on there. Just a bit of an overview of what's been on the podcast. If you're new to it and you want to hear some of the other bits, see what's on there. And just fun for me to kind of look back and celebrate some of all that. The other thing is there's an episode I did a year or so ago called Inspiration for Musicians, which I've been putting out on social media again, because so many people have New Year's resolutions to play more music, practice more, get better on their instrument, whatever. So I've pulled together just a selection of stuff into one episode that pulls out some of those threads talking about that kind of thing, with some advice from people like Sierra Hull, Stephen Mogin, Bryan Sutton. I'll stick a link in the show notes if you want to have a listen to that one as well. It's always a good way to kick off your year with a little bit of inspiration from some people who just, not only is it good advice, but it's also kind of grounding, positive, easy advice to follow and gives you a bit of sort of confidence. I think I got loads from these conversations. I think you will, which is why I put them together. Link in the show notes. Go and have a listen. But let's crack on with what is new this month. And we'll start off with Church Street news and announcements. And I just wanted to take a moment, first of all, just to mark the passing of Gabe Hirschfeld, who, not somebody that I met or spoke to, but just from seeing the tributes people have been paying on social media and various things that have been written about him, clearly a very, very loved musician. Just, the amount of wonderful things people said about Gabe, it was just, obviously, horrible circumstances, but just heartwarming to hear how many lives, how many people he touched, and that's a marvellous thing. For those of you who aren't aware of Gabe, he was one of the founding members of the Lonely Heartstrings band, great banjo player. Saw some lovely things that Chris Lord from over here in the UK posted about meeting Gabe at Sore Fingers summer camps, and just his generosity and kind of willingness to help, and anyway, all of that was lovely to see. So I just wanted to take a moment to mark that. So many of you I know knew Gabe, played with Gabe, were friends, family, colleagues, all of that. And I'm very much I'm just a fan who knows Gabe a little bit through his music. So just, wanted to mark that and say sorry for your loss to all of you who knew Gabe in some way. News and announcements of things going on and coming up. One thing that is happening, the Dog at 80 show that was put on earlier last year for David Grisman's 80th birthday, and we talked about that quite a lot in the episodes. I chatted to David Grisman, I chatted to Mike Marshall, Darren Anger and Todd Phillips about the early days of the Grisman Quintet, but they put on a show to mark his 80th birthday, which featured all sorts of people: Sam Grisman, Darren Anger, Danny Barnes, Sam Bush, Alex Hargreaves, Ronnie McCory, Mike Marshall and Todd Phillips. And it is up on Nugs. You can stream it. It's only up till January the 10th. So if you want to watch that, you need to get in quickly. I'll stick a link in the show notes. I haven't managed to watch it yet. I'm going to try and find time before it comes down. But just chatting to Mike and Daryl and David about that show, it sounds like a lot of fun. So I'm going to see if I can watch that. I'll put a link in if you want to go and do it. Billy Strings did a Tiny Desk concert. I love the Tiny Desk concerts. They're such a cool little intimate thing. And that is out now. I've watched that. That's a lot of fun. I will stick a link in the show notes for you to go and have a look at that, which I very much recommend you do. And on the Tiny Desk concert line, there's a thing called Tiny Desk Contest. And basically it's a competition where you can win the opportunity to play a Tiny Desk concert at NPR in Washington. If you are a musician, you've got a band, you're a singer-songwriter, whatever, you get the chance to follow where some extraordinary musicians have been. You know, people like Billy Strings, Sierra Hull, Goat Radio Sessions Guide, like so many high level people, and extraordinary musicians have done Tiny Desk concerts. And you could get a chance to do one too. Basically, you need to create a video that shows you playing one song you've written. Do it the way you perform a Tiny Desk concert, so at a desk, any desk it says, and you upload your video to YouTube, and then what you can win is a Tiny Desk concert of your own at NPR. You'd be featured on NPR's All Things Considered, and you would get to headline NPR Music's Tiny Desk Contest on the Road tour. Entries open on January the 13th. There's a link in the show notes. Go and have a look if you're interested in that. If you've got a band, if you can film something simple at home, I mean, why not? Could be a wonderful way to get some exposure, and probably quite fun to do. Worst that you end up with is a video of your band. You can stick them on your social channels. Yes, and that's it. Tiny Desk Contest. Also, Old Settlers Music Festival, April 17th and 19th in Driftwood, Texas. They've announced their lineup, and there's some cool stuff on there. Michael Cleveland and Flamekeeper playing, Railroad Earth, Shelby Means, Lindsay Lou. Lots of cool other stuff. If you want to kick off your festival season early, Old Settlers in April is probably a good way to go. That is it for news. Yeah, so it's just wanted to recap that. The Dog at 80 stream on Nugs is there for another couple of days. Billy Strings' Tiny Desk concert will be there for ever, I'm sure, but I will stick a link in the show notes to go and look at that. And I'll stick a link also to the Tiny Desk contest and to the Old Settlers Music Festival lineup and ticket info and all of that stuff. Let's move on to The Grass is New, which is the new releases. And there's a few bits, and the first bit is related to the Grisman concert. It's a Sam Grisman project, which he's got a new record out, which he describes as friends paying tribute to the musical legacy of David Grisman, Jerry Garcia, and beyond. It involves Sam Grisman, Dominic Leslie, Alison Groot, Victor Furtado, Alex Hargreaves, Tim O'Brien is on there as a special guest, Lindsay Lou's on there. So that is out now. It's on David Grisman's acoustic. Is it acoustic disc or acoustic Oasis? It might be acoustic Oasis because that's the download side of things. But that album is out now and you can download that. I will stick a link to where you can go and find that. Haven't had a chance to listen yet, but I'm going to have a listen to that and that sounds great. There is also a re-release. Nonsuch are putting out a re-release of Carolina Chocolate Drops Genuine Negro Jig record because it's the 15th anniversary of that. Putting it back out on CD and LP, and it'll be the first time it's been on vinyl since 2010. So that's cool, and I'll stick a link to the Nonsuch website where you can get some info about that and order it as well. It's due on January the 23rd. I don't think it's out yet, but I think you can probably pre-order it, so I'll stick a link in for that. Something that is out now as a download and is coming as physical formats as well is a new record called Meridians from Alistair Fraser and Natalie Haas. Fiddle and cello duo. Natalie's been on the podcast with her sister Brittany. I'm sure if you've been listening for a while you remember that. I haven't had a chance to listen to that yet either, but I'm looking forward to that very much indeed. Yes, that's Meridians by Alistair Fraser and Natalie Haas. And friend of the podcast, Michael Daves, has a new EP out called Fables. He's got a new record label called Wild Geranium, and there's some more stuff coming on that later this year. But the first thing is an EP, which is a fully acoustic interpretation. I'm going to start that again. A fully acoustic interpretation of 6 songs from REM's 1985 album Fables of the Reconstruction, which is 40 years old. And it features the Michael Davis Quartet, Alex Hargreaves, Jacob Jolliffe, Eric Alvar, and some special guests. It's out as a digital download on Wild Geranium, and you can also buy it on cassette. So that is Sam Grissman Project album, the Carolina Chocolate Drops re-release, new music from Alistair Fraser and Natalie Haas, and the Michael Daves EP as well. Links in the show notes to all of that. Go and have a look. And the next bit up is Scroll On Buddy, which is just something I've spotted on social media or somewhere out there that I thought I'd like to share with you. And this is from Josh Turknett, who wrote the Laws of Brain Joe book, has the Brain Joe Academy. He is an expert kind of on how our brains work around music and learning music and processing music and all that stuff. He's been on the podcast before. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that episode. If not, check it out because it's a lot of fun. But he's written a article on his Substack called Is Bluegrass Too Fast?, which is all about the relationship between music tempo and how our brains process stuff, and just a really interesting sort of dig into the tempo of bluegrass and how our brains process stuff like that, and looking at some of the average speeds people play music at. Just a fascinating little read. There's a link in the show notes. Go and have a look at that. It won't take you long to read, but it's really, really interesting. And finally, it's down to what has been in my ears this week. And I've been reading, actually, it's in my eyes, I've been reading David Manconi's book, Oh, Didn't They Ramble? Rounder Records and the Transformation of American Roots Music, which is a great read. I'm about halfway through that now. So I've been just digging back and listening to some old Rounder releases and really enjoying that as well. And just learning a whole load about how the label came about, what the kind of early ethos of it was. Fascinating stuff. They put out some great music over the years. So that's a great book. I'll stick a link in the show notes to that as well. Go and check it out if you don't know about that one. That is it. I'm going to let you know about all the stuff coming up on the podcast this year as and when it comes. I'm recording my first interview of the year in a couple of days. Got one booked in for the week after that, so I'll tell you more about those. A new episode coming next week will be with Christina Gaddy, who's been on the podcast before, but she's coming back on to chat about a book of banjo music she's put together with Rhiannon Giddins. I will tell you more about that next week, but do come back and check that out. In the meantime, I hope your new year is off to a great start. I hope this year brings you lots of fun stuff. I will see you next time. Have a great week and happy picking. Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collins Guitars and Mandolins, each and every one built from the sound up in Austin, Texas.